With the U.S. Department of Justice Cops Office, and I really want to, in particular, thank all of you for taking time to come out to this community town hall meeting, where we're going to be focused on a comprehensive police reform project that we've undertaken within the Department of Justice to assess the Baltimore Police Department. I also just want to take a moment to introduce, again from Hillard Hines, Rob Davis and Marcia Thompson, both from Hillard Hines. My colleague Ellie Coleman, who is with the Cops Office and who's managing this project on behalf of the cops. We really, again, appreciate the opportunity to hear directly from you in terms of how we achieve our mutual goals to make the Baltimore Police Department the type of agency that your community deserves, and also one that provides the level of service that you expect. Several months ago, we entered into a voluntary agreement with the Baltimore Police Department to conduct an independent, comprehensive review of the police department. Now, this review falls under what we call our National Collaborative Reform Initiative, which I'll briefly describe in a minute. Through this review, we are currently, and we continue to comprehensively examine the department's accountability systems, their training, their investigations, and their tactics. But while we're critically and extensively reviewing the police department's files, records, data, we go out and observe and interview officers, trainers, law enforcement leaders. Tonight represents a critical aspect of the project in terms of obtaining information that's vital to the assessment, that is the perspectives of the community. We want to gather your ideas, your concerns, and most importantly hear about suggestions that you have. Again, because it's such a vital part of the process, we're not in a position to deliver recommendations to the Baltimore Police Department unless we understand your concerns. So that really is what tonight's about. It's about hearing directly from you. We have spoken to many community stakeholders over the last several months, but again, this town hall is so important in our ability to comprehensively assess the department and deliver the findings and recommendations that are going to be coming out in a few months. And ultimately, again, what our goal is to move the police department towards a path of improvement and reform. So again, thank you. I'd like to just take a moment to describe what this is all about, the Collaborative Reform Initiative. Collaborative Reform is the Department of Justice's independent and objective means to support organizational transformation within law enforcement agencies across the country. We do this through, again, analyzing police practices, training, tactics, accountability methods, all around key issues facing law enforcement agencies. Through this process, what we do is identify organizational deficiencies, and then we identify the changes that are necessary to benefit the law enforcement agency and the community they serve. So we deliver a series of findings and recommendations. Through Collaborative Reform, the Department of Justice Cops Office is currently working with 8 law enforcement agencies across the country, including Baltimore. Now, the initiative consists of 2 separate processes, and I'll just briefly explain those just to give you some
Civilian review. The police that did to me what they did still got their jobs, they got their pay, and they got to retire. With a proper civilian review board, the police are afraid because the police do not investigate the police. And if you don't believe it, ask some of the people that were in the Sun Papers article, and they'll even tell you there's a gift squad by the police to take revenge on anybody that goes after the police. And the reason why I'm here tonight is there's just enough people here to see my face. So when I go home tonight, if I don't make it, guess what?
Let's go over here.
I would prefer not to speak.
That's okay.
One, there's been an analysis that you speak of, which I've implemented before. I think I have an understanding of that. But can you give me the date that was implemented? And then after that, give me the date the last time someone that I know, a black man, that lived in my community, in my neighborhood, 2 blocks down from me, was beaten almost to death. And there was no, and after that, you tell me you were having around the corner. Y'all?
Okay, in terms of the date that the plan is implemented, we're still in the process of doing our assessment. So we're right in the middle of doing that, so I don't have a date for you on that yet, but we can certainly talk afterwards so we can get more specifics. Yes, sir.
My name is Dave Williams. I'm the president of the Board for Black Think Tank. I ran as the Republican nominee for sheriff in 2014. Mr. Davis, I want to know if Hillary Clinton is cognizant that there is no statutory authority. I want to know if Hillary Clinton is cognizant that there is no statutory authority for the use of force codified in the Baltimore City Charter at Article 16, Section 2, and or Maryland Criminal Procedures Article. There is no statutory provision for the use of force to effect an apprehension, seizure, or arrest. Any use of force by the Baltimore Police Department is an unlawful deprivation of civil rights under the color of law. Are you cognizant of that fact, sir?
We're cognizant of we're becoming familiar with both not only the Baltimore law, but also the state of Maryland's law. We're interacting both with the state's attorney and the state public defender's office as we're going through our process.
Okay, so as you're cognizant with the law, and you know that the use of force policy is a deprivation of civil rights on its face, who will be prosecuted for the murder under 18 U.S.C. 1111 of Anthony Anderson and Tyrone West? Their civil rights were violated under this unlawful use of force policy. If you are only here to review the use of force policy, the deprivation of civil rights of the people of Baltimore go further than the police department. They go to the mayor's office, they go to the sheriff's office. The sheriff who doesn't involve himself in any public safety meetings or public safety initiatives, he doesn't protect the people from the murders, drug dealing, gun dealing, police that are involved in it. So I do have one more question.
Okay, you have 1 minute left. So.
I have one more, that's fine. I can do this in 1 minute. Who provided Hillary Clinton to the DOJ with a list of community leaders to contact and interview for this process?
Basically, we provided it ourselves. We have done these assessments in other cities around the country, and we came
Well,
out.
how would you know who the community leaders are in this city?
That's what we're learning.
Well, how come you didn't contact me? I was the 2014 Republican nominee, and I ran on a platform of ending police brutality.
I'll tell you about this.
Why?
Sir, if you would personally, I'm going to come right over here at the end of the meeting. If you'll personally come up to me, I'll take all of your information. I'd be happy to interview you personally.
Okay, and all of the complaints that people like this woman that have submitted, and I have submitted to the FBI and the DOJ in letters and faxes and emails. What is the Justice Department going to do about our complaints about deprivation of civil rights under color of law? Because if you don't protect these people, I will arm them and teach them how to protect themselves against you. Because it's your drug war, it's your DOJ drug war that is killing our people. It has made every black man in this city a suspect.
Sir,
in your
would you do me a favor, sir? Would you please share those with me also when we talk so we can review those documents? Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, sisters and brothers. The first person to speak on the platform tonight says that they can't reopen the case. The fact of the matter is that in the police murders and the instances of police brutality in Baltimore, they never opened a case in a serious way in the first place. So it's impossible to reopen a case that was never really opened from Jump Street. Now in Baltimore City, we know that it wasn't long ago that a number of the police were fired. I think some were jailed for kickbacks because they were getting some money when they were getting cars towed and so on. So you can indict a cop for a kickback, you can prosecute a cop for a kickback, you can jail a cop for a kickback, but when they kick a human being in the back, this city does nothing. When they kill a black man in Baltimore City, they do nothing. Now in July of 2013, a number of police brutally attacked Abdul Salam. They were not disciplined in the slightest. A week and a half later, they beat Tyrone West to death. Two of the same cops. Had they been sent off to jail and killed the cops been put in cell blocks, which is the solution that we need, then the death of Tyrone West would likely not have occurred.
One more minute.
I don't wish to be interrupted. The Department of Justice is not here to put killer cops in cell blocks. We should be clear on that. I want to say a word about the role of the federal government, because some of us may think they're going to be our saviors in this problem, and they're not. The first time that someone was brutalized by police in the United States and it was caught on videotape was Rodney King in LA in the 90s. And those cops were found not guilty, and there were walkouts at colleges and high schools and rebellions. And in LA itself, they declared martial law. They said it is now illegal to hold a rally and to march down the street. You can't protest. I'm in the Progressive Labor Party. We protested anyway. But it was the federal government that clamped down.
Okay,
and
sir.
Stop the opposition.
Sir, I really want to thank you very much. You had 2 minutes, but I really want to be respectful of the 2 dozen people that are behind you.
I have used 2 minutes, have I?
Yes, you used 2 minutes. I want to thank you for that 2 minutes, but I'm going to slide over here. Ma'am, can I please
I wanted to say one last thing. I participate with the West family every Wednesday since July of 2013 when he was brutally murdered by the Baltimore Police. There's a rally led by the family. We have a sign-up sheet if you would like to find out and be contacted about where the rally is each week. Please sign up before you leave.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hello. I just want to say that policy and
For the
procedure.
police, when you are just there to support their cause, that's not acceptable in this community. We want the police arrested, period. There's already laws. Enforce the laws. Enforce the laws that you took an oath to enforce. I'm not talking to Ted and Hank. I don't know who gave y'all money, but y'all need to give it back. Because we don't care about your reports. We don't care about your new policies you got going on. They're going to find a way to get around it, period. They need to be arrested, period.
Thank you very much for sharing your comments. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got it.
All of the people came with the books. First of all, my name is Wayne O'Mara. I'm a host on Passion Medicine for people WLB 1010. My birth name is Dwayne Alexander. I was beat up by the police 6 times in my life, starting at the age of 12. You know what I'm saying? So, and my role here, everything I was going to say, so I'm going to tell you from my experience. You talking about restraining? It started when I was 12. The last time that it happened, I was here. I go to the school, Coppin University. It happened in the parking lot. We stopped a drug addict from breaking into somebody's car. They called the police. When the police got there, what they do? They beat up all of the black guys that was helping keep the guy there. They broke into the young lady's car. Now, I mean, she said everything. You know what I mean? We don't want nothing but justice. We want you to lock these officers up for what they're doing. You know what I mean? I'm tired, man. We are tired. And one of the last community rallies that we had, Brother David Wiggins was there, Pat Henderson was there, all these Will Anderson was there, all these brothers been there at these meetings, and we had to physically stop the guys in these communities from opening fire on the cops who are opening fire on them. We had to physically stop these guys from beating up the officers who are beating on them. We're done with laws. It's coming to the point where it ain't gonna be no choice but for us to gather our arms and fight back. They pissed a fit about these young brothers who ride these dirt bikes. They pissed a fit about the young white kids in the white community who rode their skateboards on the community property. You know what they did? They opened a park for the young kids to ride their skateboards. But when the guys ride their dirt bikes, they knock them off the bike with their cars. I was one of them. So there is no excuse. We done with love. You know what I mean? So because we get to this point where, man, we go, man, where's the man on this? We see her with MSNBC talking about how police brutality in other states. What about here? What about here? They tried to put us in a room that only held 80 people. We thought Patrick Henderson got on the phone and made 100 calls and to the room got stuff in here. We did that. What are y'all come in and help us?
Thank you, sir, for your comments. I do appreciate it. Yes, sir. Good evening.
My name's Brendan Hudson. I can give my name because I live up west of Loyola College, where these issues with police brutality, oddly enough, don't happen with the same frequency that they apparently happen in the neighborhoods that a lot of people in this room are from. I'm a criminal defense attorney of 10 years. I'm an assistant federal public defender. I'm here on my own behalf, though, because I want to stress to you 2 things. One, this is a crisis. People do not trust or believe the police. And when that happens, the entire criminal justice system grinds to a halt. They don't convict people who probably should be convicted because they don't believe the police. Bad things happen when trust breaks down, and that's where we are. But I want to say that one of the things that strikes me is the secrecy with which complaints to internal affairs are treated. When poor people have a problem with the police, they can file a lawsuit if they can get a lawyer, and that'll be public. But most people can't, so they have to go to internal affairs. And when internal affairs processes a complaint, the judiciary treats it like a personnel record and makes it completely privileged. There are officers on the street with 30, 40, 50 complaints who are making arrests tonight. And when those cases go to court, the attorneys are not allowed access to those files because they're treated like classified personnel records. And I encourage you to look at the Maryland law and to do what you can to enforce change in that front. Because we have gentlemen like the man who was here who was beaten by police, who got a settlement, and the officer who did that is more than likely out on the street, and the specifics of that settlement are more than likely sealed. And until we, the people, can have access to the internal affairs complaints, until we can know what citizens are saying about the police, we can't do nothing. We can do nothing. You can look at those files. We can't. So I encourage you, if you're going to focus an inquiry on transparency, to make an inquiry on how we can open up the internal affairs complaints so that we as a community can see what others in the community are saying our police officers are doing. Because if you don't do that, this is just going to perpetuate itself. I will say the salaries have recently been put online, and we can see that certain of our officers are somehow doubling their salaries in overtime. And we can see that some of the officers who are the subjects of some of the lawsuits are somehow still on the force and still ranking in the top 50 most paid employees in the city, but we can't see what the citizens are saying about that. So please try to focus your inquiry there.
Brandon, I thank you for your comments. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Dr. McCammons. I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I work with the Rose Street Community Center in East Baltimore. Some of you may have heard a few months ago that we are in the process of working in a very disciplined fashion with the Maryland ACLU to collect misconduct cases and prosecute them in a disciplined, orderly, focused fashion. This is met with mixed success because, of course, the ACLU is overwhelmed, and it also seems to have some conflicts of interest in certain cases here. But what I would say is this: what I believe is necessary is a truth and reconciliation process, and along the lines of what happened in South Africa, actually. That this is a multi-generational problem. Right now, in the community that I serve, young children are growing up witnessing the range of police abuse that goes from the least of which is just outright casual contempt for the humanity of the people that they are in the neighborhoods that they are occupying. And then, escalates all the way to homicide. When you have children who grow up in an environment like this, this becomes, part of the socialization process. There's an intrinsic mistrust of the police because of what they see on a day-to-day basis. These police officers need to be held accountable. You need to stop. You need to go to the grassroots, and you need to deal with the FOP, because those are the people who, independent of the policies that you're going to review, hold the power to actually do something or allow something to be done with the officers who are offenders.
Doctor, thank you very much. Billy, can I ask you, when we hit a 1 minute mark, could you just maybe hold a card so that the speakers will know they're kind of halfway through their time? I just really want to make sure we get a chance that everybody who's in line to be here tonight. So let's slide over to yes, sir.
He's talking about melanated guys in the room. Just here to lay a few facts. We live under a corporation. This is a corporate state of America. So when you have a corporation, they have policy. They have corporate policy. Every corporation has a policy, has a code. They codify their policy into what we know as laws, but what they really are codes, everybody. And we have to understand how we have been codified into a institutional system of white supremacy, right? Let's talk about it. We've been codified as black people. So what I mean of codified is the term black, and that means something in their uniform commercial code. So everybody, if you don't know what the uniform commercial code is, you don't know nothing about what they're talking about. Let y'all know. So just go Universal Commercial Code of the United States Corporation. So we have to understand that we are owned by the United States Corporation, State of America. So you have to understand, you have to understand, corporation, District of Columbia. You have to understand, right, that as a black man, I've been a victim of institutional white supremacy for 28 years of my life. That's how old I am, all right? And we're tired of it. And me as a black man, I understand that codified system. I understand the offices, I understand the corporation that runs us, that owns us through our birth certificate, you feel me? So now that I understand that, no police officer, no court has any jurisdiction over me. So I go to court and all the charges are dropped because I don't come in there as a legal name. I come in there as a human living being. Because once you study the Uniform Commercial Code, you understand that a person is a corporation. And they own corporations. So just do some research on that, everybody. I just want to drop a few facts about that. But can you explain to the people what Uniform Commercial Code in the UCC or the Maryland UCC codifies citizens as persons, which means corporation, which means you own them. And you can do whatever you want to by the way of how you write your corporate policy. Can you explain that to all those people how through their birth certificate, you own them, you put a claim on them, their name, and you can lock them up, you can kill them, you can do whatever you want to them because it's property. That's what chattel is, slavery. We're still slaves, everybody. Okay, Uniform Commercial Code, birth certificate, legal name. Look it up. LoseTheName.com. Look it up.
Yes, sir.
Marcus Pollack. Citizen. I had the opportunity to be at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum a couple of months ago. Commissioner Bass was there, and a number of other guest panelists. They talked about the kind of things that they were going to do, much like you guys are talking today, sensitivity training, cultural awareness. I said to Commissioner Bass that this is a very simple matter, and it comes down to one word, and that is respect. And that many of the Baltimore City Police do not respect the citizens that they are sworn to serve. It's not by coincidence that the gentleman that was just standing here, who was talking about how little these crimes occur in his neighborhood of Loyola, this is no accident. Clearly, there is a different way of handling people north of here than it is in East Baltimore. And until we begin to give or develop a culture in the city police department that respects its people, we're going to continue to have the same things occurring time and time again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Grace Cunningham. I'm a 21-year-old black female. I'm going to be very realistic with you. The 2-minute time limit that you've given does not exist. Quite frankly, the people in here have stuff to say, and if need be, they will shut this down so you will listen. So, case in point, you have a bunch of black community members and leaders in here that don't even make up 1/4 of Baltimore City. I'm looking around at NPCs and I'm wondering how far did you guys reach into the community to get people to come out? Like, let's just be realistic. 2, there are way too many solutions to the issues that you guys have to be standing up here and telling us, or you're here for police reform. Change the officer's Bill of Rights. Put the pressure under the mayor to use body cameras. Those are just two, and I'm only a college student. I don't have a graduate degree. I don't have an undergraduate degree. It doesn't take a scientist to put this together. We have a whole registry for sex offenders. Why don't we have a registry for those officers who have 20 and 30 excessive force claims? How come as a people we're not allowed to know who these officers are? You have 20 and 30 excessive force complaints, you shouldn't even be allowed to carry a gun. This clearly shows you do not know how to conduct yourself in a social environment, especially with black people. So why are you allowed to carry a gun and walk around with children in your presence? Why do we have 3 and 4 police officers riding around in 3 consecutive cars in one neighborhood at one time? Why is it necessary to have 3 and 4 or 5 police officers approach a group of maybe 10 young black males at the most when one is 13 years old? What's serious, honestly, what's the threat there? You have a 13-year-old in a group of his friends and you have 10 officers who approach him in the full Kevlar vest, hands on their guns, oh, we need you to disperse. And you expect them to politely and quietly say, oh, yes, sir, yes, we're going to disperse right now. And not feel that fear of the fact that there are 10 grown men with 10 guns that they are ready to fire upon. As a young black woman, do I trust the police in my community? No. When I get pulled over, when there's a cop riding behind me, there's a sense of fear. The first thing I do is call my mother and I put it on speakerphone, just to make sure if anything happens, she knows what happened. There's no reason why in my own city, I should feel that amount of fear when an officer is just riding past me or riding behind me. I live off of Winchester Street and I can't count how many times I've seen officers in Kevlar vests walking up and through the building just to do routine checks. Why do you need a Kevlar vest? Why does there need to be 20 and 30 or 40 of y'all? Here at Coppin State University, as students, we got together and we did a protest march against what happened to Michael Brown on North Avenue. You want to know how many police cars they sent out for us? About 20. They sent the whole motorcade, they sent the paddy wagons with 30 police officers squished in there, as if us as students didn't have the right to peacefully protest. We weren't in the streets, we were on the sidewalks. We didn't disrupt any type of commotion, we didn't create any type of noise. They sent out the helicopters, they sent out the police officers, they sent out those with pepper spray. They had undercover cops sitting on every corner we walked past for a group of barely 100 students.
Grace, out of respect for everybody else, we're about 3 minutes now. If you have more that you would like to share with detail, would you please meet with us? There are 5 of us right after the meeting. We'll talk with you as long as you'd like to.
Okay, I have one more suggestion.
Go ahead.
As part of your reform, what you need to do is get together those officers and tell them to come out of their police clothing. If they really want to help their community, go into your community and help them with what needs to be helped with. Help put up some boards or some playgrounds, help in a community center, come to a community event, interact with the public. Don't send them the sensitivity training. Don't send them the cultural awareness training. I'm black, you're white, you already know what it is.
Great.
What's the training for?
Thank you, Grace. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael McCormick, and I'm a graduate student in the criminal justice program here at Coppin State University. I'm also here with some of my colleagues in my graduation curriculum as well. Briefly, I spent 10 years on the Baltimore City Police Department from 1980 to 1990. I left by my own will. I'm currently a business owner here in Baltimore and have been for the past 10 years. One of my first questions to you is that if there's a hiring process that the Baltimore City Police Department has, why is that hiring process any different when you hire a commissioner than it is for the line staff coming in the door? I have in my hand which I found online, is the strategic plan that Commissioner Batts put together back in 2013. I don't know whether you had an opportunity to read that document. It's about 175 pages long, very exhaustive, if you ask me. I spent a lot of time last night reading it. I saw a lot of things in this particular packet that alarmed me. One of the things that I saw was the amount of time that the IAB, in terms of this investigation, how long it takes to turn the investigation around. One of the other things that I saw was that it takes, well, if I had to make a complaint to the police department, I'm told that I have to make that complaint within 90 days. In New York City, and I want to commend those particular officers and that particular police department, because at least they give you 18 months to file a complaint. Not only can you file a complaint, the transparency is so good you can go online. And I urge all of you to go online tonight and look up New York Police Department and look into the investigations, and you will find that you will be assigned a number that tracks all of your complaints, that tells you from the beginning the investigation starts, what's going on. None of that is visible here in this city. It's a shame. First person talked about a Citizens Review Board. The Citizens Review Board that we have here is a farce. First of all, those folks are not paid. They're volunteers. We have 9 districts in this city right now. Only 3 of those districts, don't have representatives from the community. So if I file a complaint, I live in the Eastern District, and I happen to be a Hispanic man who can't speak English, I have no one to go to. Because 9 times out of 10, an officer that comes to talk to me, he ain't gonna know how to speak Spanish. So those are some of the things. I have some more things to talk about as I did a lot of research I want to share with you.
I would like to receive what you have also.
Sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Sylvester Tucker, concerned citizen. Mr. Davis, you said one of your primary responsibilities is to train police forces, around the country to handle community policing. But yet still, every week we look at TV and we see another case of officers misconduct. So what are you doing to rectify that? Because if you're training these people, and if the same things keep happening over and over again, how do you justify your budget for doing it?
Well, we certainly are not providing training for the 800,000 people at one time in our states. We're trying to take working with the DOJ to do these different departments that have been identified as those seeking this type of assistance, and then we're working with that process. But make no mistake, what happens as a result of this process is we begin to inform other chiefs and other departments about best practices and policies. Don't think for a moment that there are chiefs around this country that when this report comes out are not going to read the Baltimore report, which then affects those people, those other 800,000 officers out there in the country. So.
Okay. Also, I heard that sometimes when the city they are victims of police brutality or even murdered by the police, and they can't even get a response when they try to call and contact someone. I think it should be a point person when a family has an injustice done to them like that they can call and someone assigned to them. I think that would be a good idea rather than just calling this general number and whoever they get assigned to their case. I think somebody needs to be assigned to their case personally so that they can get something done, because obviously what they have in place now is not working.
That's an extremely valuable suggestion to give. I've made a special note of that. I think we're just about the 2 minutes. Is there anything classical thing you'd like to say? Thank you so much very much.
Yes. My name is Quentin Whalen with Baltimore People's Party. And one of the things that we want to do is to have a citizen review board. Because we believe these police who have been out of control, roll cop, need to be indicted. Murder is a capital offense that has no statute of limitation according to the Annotated Code of Murder. Those police officers know who they are. The mayor knows who they are. The police commissioner knows who they are. They have black police, white police, kidnapping young black kids, trying to force them to be CI. And they take the shoestring, take them out in the county. They push them off the motorcycle. Then they try to get them to tell me what's going on in the hood. Tell me who's doing this and who's doing that. The police need to be dealt with. You can't sell police dope out your police cruiser on the parking lot and then come back and you want to sell the same thing you sell. So if you're going to be serious about this thing, like George Bush up and all the rest of them dope dealers, vote that you're going to keep the party.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the panel. I'm Leo Berg, Jr. I'm president and founder of the Roots of Scouting organization, Roots of Scouting Incorporated. We are a 501c3. And I prepared this written statement this morning. I'd ask you to, I beg you allow me to read it into the record. The federal militarization of civilian police departments in the United States is a clear reflection of the continuing systemic genocidal killing of black people in this country. Where is Congressman Elijah Cummings? Senator Barbara McCullough, State Senator Nathaniel McFadden, State Senator Dolores Kelly, I know she lives in the county, she got friends in the city, and City Councilwoman Rochelle Ricky Spector, where are they on these issues? We've got more veteran politicians than you can imagine with 30 years and more who are doing nothing. And of course, their silence is deafening. They ought to be outspoken, aggressive advocates for justice, but the contrary is true. Baltimore City serves as the capital of police brutality in America, with more than 100 of such cases pending for circuit court litigation. The vast majority of Baltimore City's sworn police officers don't live in Baltimore City and don't want to live in a majority black population city. Detective Crystal, a white police officer, forced to resign because he blew the whistle on police misconduct, is currently suing the Baltimore City Police Department for wrongful termination, threats, and intimidation. They placed a dead rat was placed on the windshield of his car by fraternal order of police officers demanding that he stop snitching.
Leo, you hit 2 minutes. Is there no break? You can summarize that and make sure
Yes,
we
I
get a copy
can.
of this, okay?
The Baltimore City Police Department engaged in organized crime when more than 35 of its officers were federally indicted in a towing scandal which occurred from 2011 through 2012 and resulted in fines, jail, and time for racketeering and receiving financial kickbacks from unauthorized towing companies transporting illegally parked cars to city impoundment lots. Police training is no substitute for jail, no bail. We want these cops to go to jail when they commit offenses. We want this mayor out of office. Get rid of Stephanie Rawlins place because she's a mayor and she's not doing her job to represent our interests. She's been in office 20 years. 20 years. She's been in the city council, was president of the city council. Now she's mayor and pandering to and kissing the behinds of the fraternal order of police. That must stop.
Leo, would you please share something that was in there?
Certainly will.
Yes, sir.
If integrity and honesty, 99.9% of the officers are honest and have integrity. The towing scandal alone doesn't allow that to out. Okay. 3 items. You're talking about procedures and policies and practices. You're talking about the police department itself. I had 2 recommendations for that. Okay. One, just a policy or procedure. You're not chasing a guy that ran from you or a suspected bank robber or something. It's small stuff. You see, driver's license registration. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Are you drugs or weapons in the car? Where did you stop you for? I'm asking questions here. Get out of the car. Okay. How about for the small stuff, the small encounters, policies and practices of so-and-so, and I stopped you because. Let me see your driver's license and registration, please. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of times, why? The person bothered to ask why. That's the last thing the officer says something about. And as I had an officer tell me one time, well, I don't need a reason to stop you. I can charge you with murder. I'm going home for dinner tonight. You'll be in jail. And our state legislators, please, most important thing, they dropped the ball again. They didn't do anything to try to tweak the law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights here in Maryland. With Maryland law enforcement, it's a powerful thing. There's only the state legislators can affect the police truly. The mayor tried to do something one time and he said, oh, you can't do that because the state actually controls the police, okay? And email them, tell them, make them answer up as to why they did nothing. An officer can opt not to answer questions or make a statement for 10 days. 10 days? While getting paid? I'm not talking about he's under arrest. I'm talking about he's just being scrutinized. He would say, I can't say anything. It needs some tweaking. And we need to ask our state legislators, why did you do nothing? No tweaking at all. They didn't touch it. They must be the awful fact.
Sir, can I ask you just to do something? Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the comments. Yes, right here. Thank you, sir.
I'm not going to take too long to talk, because if I start talking, we will be here to the 12th of November. The point I want to make is simple. What the Department of Justice needs to do is to sue the same tactics that the police use, and the Department of Justice uses and other organizations use in order to corral the corruption and pull out the bogus fraud that's been perpetrated through the police department, through the school system. When you can come up with a
police officer, 17 days after my brutal beating, these same officers took the life of a man that should have been standing here with us today, and that's how I inherited my new family.
My name is Wanda Jones, and first of all, we are in a state of emergency right now. And I feel like y'all coming here with a Band-Aid, and we have life-threatening wounds. Y'all really need to do something. And when y'all say y'all reached out to families, you know, nobody reached out to my family. I'm tired of the West family being last in line, not heard, none of that. Nobody reached out to my family. And it's just sad that, you know, what's the real reason y'all here? Like, y'all not going to put killer cops in cell blocks, and we don't even need to conversate. My brother should have never been brutally murdered. Anthony Anderson should have been brutally murdered. And I feel like anybody that can do something that's not doing nothing needs to go to jail. The man needs to be prosecuted. The outgoing state's attorney needs to be prosecuted. Any and everybody that stands by that has power to put killer cops in cell blocks and don't do nothing, y'all need to go to jail. And one thing I want to add, the people that really want to do something for the city, y'all put it off. Y'all put them on pellets. David Anthony Wiggins knows the law all that. He would be a good sheriff, but nobody gave this man a chance. You know, it's ridiculous. So all this, like, I think all this stuff is phony right now. It's phony to me. If y'all not going to do nothing, please don't waste our time. They disrespecting y'all while y'all in the city. A man laying in a hospital right now, hanging on to his life. Why y'all in the city right now? That should be on y'all report. Put that on the top of y'all report and bring the people here to prosecute killer cops.
Go visit that man. Go visit that man and his family, because that wound is fresh. While you're here, if you really want to know what's going on, investigate the people that have been brutally beaten and killed. Talk to these neighborhoods. Because I tell you what, the people that's here tonight, we're not the ones. The people that's here tonight, we are not the ones. It's the people that we can't get to wake up. That's what we want to know. Where the real change is going to take place.
All right. Thank you very much for the comment. Yes, sir, over here.
My name is Stephen Cece. I'm with the Baltimore People's Power Assembly. And I want to first state that I believe this is a dog and pony show. I have no faith in this town hall meeting in the Department of Justice. If I had faith, we would have convicted George Zimmerman. Y'all had the power to. Darren Wilson. I can go down the list and list. This problem has been in Baltimore for as long as I've been living in this city, since the 70s, since Jawan McGee, James Quarles, Anthony Anderson, Tyrone West. It goes on and on and on. But see, I'm really talking to my brothers and sisters here in the audience, not to you guys. Because the police role in society is not to serve and protect us. It's to make sure that we stay in line. It's to protect capitalism. That is what their role is in society. And your job is to cover up. This is the dog and pony show. People have filed petitions, have asked you to come in here. Then Stephanie Rollins Blake all of a sudden they ask you to come here. Now you're here. You know, I'm giving you a word of advice. If you want to do some reforms, because reforms don't seem to be happening. It ain't happening down in Annapolis. People went down in Annapolis and they passed out one single law. So now we're going to have to start doing things on our own. We're going to have to start policing our own communities. We're going to have to start implementing community control of the police. And that means policing our own neighborhoods. That means keeping the police out of the communities, disarming the police, and start policing our own neighborhoods. We have right here, I'm just giving you some advice or whatever, that there are some suggestions like community control of police, where police should be living in the communities that they police. That's just a basic.
Is that in your paper, officer? Is that also in your paper?
Yes, and I'll just grab up one other thing. That if you won't indict police, the people will have to do their own people's tribunals and indict the police them damn self.
Thanks, Steve. Yes, ma'am. You have the mic.
Yes. My name is Emma Anderson, and I am Tyrone West on, and I just have one thing to say, that I don't hate anyone, but I love my black brother. I love my brother. And I want to say, I just want someone to hear exactly what I'm saying here about my black brothers that I truly love. That they,
Take your time.
Between police brutality, and they know that they can get away with what they do because of the Bill of Rights. They know whatever they do, the Bill of Rights can protect them. So they can do anything to my brother. They can do anything to my brother because they did it to my Tyrone. Because of this Bill of Rights and because of police brutality, my black brothers are nothing but fucking dead men now. This is all they are, just waiting to be killed. There's some man, some police officer that you all don't understand what to do with them. I love them. I don't want this happening to them often like this. I mean, I don't want it to happen to them at all. But they're just walking around waiting to get killed because it's going to happen. You don't even have to have a suit on. You can have a suit on, the same thing going to happen to you. It does not matter. It does not matter. But something drastic is going to happen because the system's so big that it's going to burst. And all you people that know that think you're accomplishing this, that, and other, will sit there and wonder, why did we do this? Why did we do that? And it's going to be too late because my brothers cannot take it anymore and the sisters cannot take it anymore.
Yes, sir. You have the microphone.
Mi nombre es Cristian y soy de parte de un programa de jóvenes de Casa de Maryland.
My name is Christian and I am part of the youth leadership program with Casa de Maryland.
Gracias por haber venido.
Mi pregunta es si estarían dispuestos los oficiales a participar en un entrenamiento de antirracismo con miembros de la comunidad.
My question is if the officers would be willing to participate in anti-racism training along with the community members.
Como jóvenes, nosotros ¿cómo creemos que son esos entrenamientos? Nos vamos a sentir un poco más cómodos con la policía.
In types of those trainings alongside with the youth and with community members present, we feel that we might feel a little bit safer with the police officers.
Thank you.
Christian, si están bien consigo, me gustaría hablar después de la reunión aquí porque me gustaría tomar algunas informaciones. ¿Está bien? ¿Lo haría? I'm asking them to be willing to meet with me after the meeting. I'd like to get some information to follow up. Gracias, Christian. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neil, formerly a citizen of Baltimore City, but my family is still here, fortified in Baltimore City. I want to keep this very short, very sweet, and get right to the point. I don't know if you guys up there know, or anybody in the audience knows this, but the Baltimore Police Department is a special kind of cesspool. And what I mean by that is this. It exists between two different municipalities. Someone, a few people earlier, mentioned that when you call the state, they're like, oh, it's a city problem. They're governed by Baltimore City. When you call the mayor's office, they say, oh, they're a state agency. This is a conundrum, aka a clusterfuck. What are we going to do about this dichotomy that they try to play, the city against the state, and they try to exist in this nether region and say, we're not a state agency, we're not a city agency. Which one are they? Can you tell the people in here, where do they exist as far as the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore is concerned? Who governs the Baltimore City Police Department? Secondly, if you don't have the answer to that question, it's okay. Take everybody's email address and shoot us an email tomorrow. We'll be waiting for it. This collaborative review, to me personally, in my 40 years on this planet, is a stall tactic. That's all it is. This is buying time for the Baltimore Police Department to sit around and wait 2 years or 3 years until this 700-page exhaustive report comes that me personally, I would use for two things. I would use it to light fire from homeless, and I would use it to wipe my ass if I needed toilet paper, because it does not mean anything to the citizens in this room. All it's doing is placating the press and the state officials, and it's making it seem like it's a solution on the horizon. But guess what? I'm here to tell you, if anything's on the horizon, it's the sun that's about to set on this hellhole of the Baltimore Police Department and all these corrupt cops. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Do you have a microphone? Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Washington. I'm Executive Director of the Coldstream Homestead Montebello Community Corporation. And in the interest of full disclosure, I am a member of the DOJ task force. So I will share with the citizens and community leaders here what I shared at the first meeting that we had. I am still skeptical of this process. I will try to keep an open mind, even those who are entrusted to protect me do not keep an open mind when it comes to dealing with those from my community and in my neighborhood. But the first question that came out of my mouth at the first meeting we had was directed to the DOJ. And it was about 151 uses of force that resulted in murder within the Department of Justice, and no one at the FBI ever being found guilty. That's reprehensible. I do not, and I hope not, that that is not a clear indication of where this task force is headed. I did not know Tyrone West, but I did know Anthony Anderson. I'm from East Baltimore. We share the same lifestyle. We came from the same neighborhood. That man's death was ruled a homicide by the coroner's office, and not one single cop was held accountable. On my street, Darling Avenue, a young girl was murdered accidentally when a Baltimore City police officer engaged in covering up and hiding evidence in that crime. That officer is still on the force. Now, I know I'm supposed to be politically correct and say that not all officers are bad, some are good, but the bottom line is this. When it takes months for a videotape to surface of an African-American officer beating a black man on Greenmount Avenue with a white officer holding the black man's arm, and that officer does not come forward, then that culture of stop stitching that they say to us we should not follow, they follow themselves. So I will continue to be an active part of this task force as long as those in power allow me to be, but I will never stop pressing these questions, and I will never stop demanding answers. One last point. I am asking the DOJ
to challenge the Supreme Court in their diminishment of the Article number 4 of the Constitution. That allows us certain privileges. And this is really troubling to me, and I'm sorry. The Supreme Court ruled that police officers could in fact make an error in judgment in interpreting the law. In other words, ignorance of the law is an excuse for a police officer when they use an act of physical aggression.
Mark, you have 3 minutes.
There was only one judge that dissented. That was Judge Sotomayor. If ignorance of the law is an excuse for the police department to use when they're out enforcing the law, and it is not an excuse for us, then the law has no real meaning. And so I ask you all to please challenge that ruling by the Supreme Court. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ms. Robertson, and I have been here for 65 years in this Baltimore city community. And my son is almost 50, and he was attacked by the police when he was 8 years old, just walking from the store. That's how early they start picking on our children and start to racially profile them. My question is, you all are coming down, but I have watched this behavior for over 40 years. And I want to know, why is it that police can racially profile my brothers, pull them over, ask them questions, and then brutally beat them, which they had done anything? I have witnessed this. I stand there and I make sure that the police know that I'm visible, and they even ask me to get lost. But like I say, now we got our cameras. That was before the cameras. And I made it a point to make sure I was out there when I was in my 20s and 30s watching what they did. Because you're here now, but they've been doing this forever. And I want to say this in closing, that I feel that this is the same scenario that we went through while we watched this United States government and all this other police, police company, departments put our children in jail for 30 and 40 years. And we sat by like the spook that sat at the door. And now our children are in there giving up free labor, and now they want to shoot us down. It is on, it's a war on black people, and the revolution will not be televised because y'all are not going to.
Yes, over here, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Pauline Heston, and I have a nephew that was a victim of stolen identity. He has been arrested several times. Police have threw him against the car, held guns on him. People run to me. He's around the corner. Police arrested him. I have went downtown to the state's attorney, everything, child support. This boy don't even have any kids. And they doing nothing. And the police know it's not them. They even gave him a second license saying that he is not the one they're looking for. And when they have to, the police know him. And the system isn't doing nothing. So one police officer did take the initiative to try to help us, and nothing gets done. They don't listen to him either. So what do we do? Downtown, what are they down there for? Just to have a party? I look at this television station where they have their meetings and they laughing and playing down there. They not handling no business. You got young men that don't do anything. And they're getting guns. One of these days, he's or either they can't take it out the computer. You can delete anything if you want to. Now tell me what can you do for me?
Can you meet with me after?
You're not going to do like everybody else, like, I'll help you.
I will certainly take the information from you and see what I can do. Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
And I can't say things better than my brothers and sisters here have said it. But you don't deserve this vote because I don't believe in the process either. But one point is there is no internal review because they don't tell people that there's such a thing as an internal affairs that they have to fill out a form for. And a Govins minister had his home broken into by the police in the middle of the night when they finally admitted they were at the wrong house. The police department spoke with him and never told him about an internal affairs division that he had to fill out a specific form for. So whatever you look at that's already in the internal affairs, you're not going to see a lot of things that are going on because the police don't tell people. So it is a matter of putting killer cops behind cell blocks, but it's also a matter of a racist system. There were 25 bills in Annapolis that were about police accountability. One is going to the governor, and that's the second chance to restore voting rights. One. And that's it. And I want to know what I really need to know. I need to know who you interviewed. I want you to tell everybody here who you actually interviewed. I'm glad to see that there is one man here that says that he was interviewed. Besides that, I want you to tell the people here tonight now who you interviewed. And I want to know who is this Harris Hines, and why is somebody else getting some money out of this situation? Why do you need somebody else getting some money out of this? Everybody here is so capable. Everything they told me, they're so capable. And I can write things down if you need me to. If that's what you need, and I would volunteer that. So why do you need to hire this Harris Hines to make some more money off of this? So those are things I want to know. And the other thing is, I thought you weren't even going to say this could have been civil rights review, which would have made it totally clear there's no transparency. But you did say it. But I want to know why, and I want everybody here to know why the decision was made that it not be a civil rights review, that it be this COPS, which is collaboration, is what the C stands for. And collaboration is what it is.
I appreciate the fact
I want to know who you interviewed. You must have that here. You must know that. And everybody here wants to know who you interviewed.
Ma'am, I'd be happy to give you a brief overview of what we've done.
Everybody here
Ma'am, please allow me to respond. There have been approximately 10 people who have come here, and we each individually interview different individuals. We're in a data collection standpoint. Even I don't know all of the other individuals that have spoken to. Dozens of people, members of the ACLU, members of the LGBT community, trainers at the academy, a number of people. I'd be happy to share more with you.
Trainers at the academy, okay? Trainers at the academy.
Okay, ma'am, one thing that we really hope that you understand is that tonight we're here to hear from you, okay? So I'd like to go over here and let this woman take the floor, yes?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity, this forum, for what little we do. Baltimore Sun had an article.
Took me to central processing, and in the process, denied me medical attention. I was released on my own recon after 16 hours. We were charged with an assault against an officer and drug possession and a weapons possession. We filed a motion hearing during the day of that trial. We beat everything in the process and was vindicated. And at that time, Judge Lippman found that the officers had violated our constitutional rights. He said, quote, the cart went before the horse. I've been to the Civilian Review Board. I've been to the Internal Affairs. I've been to, during Justice Watch, the Police Misconduct Office. I've been at Greg Bernstein's office when he was State's Attorney. I'm currently at the current State's Attorney's office, and I was told that the statute of limitation on assault has gone, so they can't charge me for assault.
They said the constitutional violation is your responsibility. It needs to be taken to you. You need to file charges against those officers. This is your issue, and you need to do your job. Now, right now, the only thing that the state's attorney will hear and argue, and this is my wife standing next to me, by the way. This is the one who had to witness her husband be beat up by this officer, and his partner refused to do anything about it. And during the time that we went down to the state's attorney's office, we just went down there on Saturday, they said the only thing that they can do is look at the perjury charges because these officers committed perjury. And if you guys don't do anything about it, I'm telling you, I'm going to go through court records, case search records. I'm going to find every case that Darryl Murphy and Serena Green touched, and I'm going to get in contact with every one of their defense lawyers, and I'm going to let them know that they have perjury officers and they have people whose integrity is questionable, and that they need to get their clients out of jail. So do your job. That's all I'm asking. Do your job and charge Sergeant Darryl Murphy and Serena Green for deprivation of my life and my constitutional rights.
Sir, your name, will you get your name?
My name is Jason Rodriguez, and this is Conrad Keisha Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, in order to understand what's going on now, we have to understand the history and why we're here. America is a country that was founded on slavery. And in order, you don't want to shake up that foundation, because if you shake up the foundation or you remove the foundation on the house falls. So, there has to be a way to keep people enslaved without letting people know that they're still enslaved. And for a black man to be shot unarmed, like a couple weeks ago, he was unarmed, he was mentally unstable. You mean to tell me that the color brown is so strong that a man with a bulletproof vest on, a baton and a gun has to kill you? My brown is that strong that you can kill me unarmed? That's crazy. And it's sad to hear people in here that are 50 years old, 60 years old. This fight isn't new. This is not new. Because before it was guns and police shooting us, they were lynching us. Before they were doing that, before the police existed, they were slave catchers. Therefore, they still live in that mentality of being slave catchers. So when you see people, and you know the rules were written, when I was 3/5 of a human and not even a human being, you treat me like property. That's why you can shoot me in the back when I'm running, because I'm not a human. You look at me as cattle, you look at me as property. You know, that's what, and everybody's right. Everybody knows right and wrong. It's 2015. Nobody needs sensitivity training. Nobody needs them. These are grown-ass men. They don't need that. You're not measured by man because you have a penis. Your responsibility is to make you a man. How you carry yourself throughout the day, that's what makes you a man. And these officers that are looking at the same type of man that pulls that pants leg on one at a time like everybody else, they just have to be removed. White officers that grew up in suburbia cannot police in inner cities. Urban does not mean black. Urban means combined. It means a lot. It means a dense area of population. So when you hear all these people that go in urban studies and this and all that, they're really saying they're doing black studies. They're not saying urban, because urban is just a city period. So that's what we have to realize, that this is deep rooted. This is, so you have to, like everybody get disheartened and disconcerned and things like that. But this Band-Aid, this is deeper than a Band-Aid. You gotta sew that wound up, you gotta put that derm on it, you gotta get the scars about it. Because the scars are the reason that we can't get past the wound and the problem.
Thank you, Ben. We appreciate your comments very much. Yes, sir, you have the floor.
My name is David L. Johnson, Sr. I work as an independent investigative journalist for the News Network's Analysis Project. One of the things that I want to address as quickly as I can in the limited 2 minutes that you give us is the fact that what we're hearing tonight is evidence that Baltimore has an unidentified gang problem. Now, this time around, we ain't talking about little young boys out on the street corner. We're going to identify the problem for you to help you come to understand something. Baltimore, beginning with the mayor's office and all of the other satellites that are linked in with it, is run not by the mayor, not by the president of the city council, but by a gang, an unidentified gang that we have labeled as the White Guerrilla Family. It is known as the Greater Baltimore Committee. Now, what our problem is that we play by the rules too much. We're afraid to stand up to these people as men. See, you restrict us to a microphone and tell us to stand there and address you, but I gotta come up here so that you can see. We found evidence of even the organization that you're talking about that's operating as a consultant. The Heinz organization, well, in this book that the city needs to see, armed with expertise, the militarization of American social research during the Cold War. What they have done was brought in the United States military to bring in social sciences researchers, and they have given the white business community the authority to take command of the local police districts in your area. So when you're having a problem in Baltimore, it is because of the greater Baltimore community, which is a gang of the wealthiest white business organizations, not just in Baltimore, but in Maryland. These gangs have stopped black contractors from being able to work and to hire young black men. This gang has decided it would take jobs out of the city. This gang has crushed education. This gang has beaten and murdered black people to death. And white people are here tonight because they're starting to get beat too.
David, could I respectfully ask you to please just kind of summarize? I want to be respectful of everybody else. Please.
Baltimore, this meeting, with all due respect to you, this meeting is a fraud. You are from the Department of Justice, but the opening paragraph in your own letter tells us that this is a fraud. It says, the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services created the Collaborative Reform Initiative for Technical Assistance in response to requests from the law enforcement community. Look at the paper. They asked for this. They're not here to ask for this. They're asking for spying work and an operation and everything you're supposed to put over there on your head. They're going to do it, and they're going to spy on you. You're going to do an action whereby you can identify and live as a good and professional.
David, can we please, let's try and use that respect. Okay, y'all, let's try and use respect over here. I'm sorry? Okay. Thank you, David. Okay, David, please. I'm respectfully asking you, let's have this moment. Sir, Sir, David, please. David, I'm asking you again respectfully. David, thank you. Sir, you have the floor over here. Sir, the floor is yours.
All right. You can turn. All right. I just wanted to ask you guys real quick. What did you extract like? You said you came from other cities, Chicago, Louisiana, all of that stuff. What stuff have you done? What do you feel qualified to fix the problem here in Baltimore?
What do we feel qualified to do?
What do you feel qualified for? What do your superiors feel qualified for you to be sent here to tell us what we've been going through since damn near everybody's here before?
Let me be very clear. We're not just here to tell you anything. We're here to listen to you. We're here to listen to you.
Well, after you listen to me, then what is your course of action?
What we're going to do is we're listening to the people. We'd love for some of the individuals who talk to us.
Well, what I'm saying is, what are you going to do once you listen to us in 30, 40 minutes when you're done fielding questions? What happens?
Let me answer. I'd be happy to answer that. You've asked me the question. Let me answer. We want to hear from you because we've already gleaned a lot of great suggestions about what it is we need to be recommending to the city of Baltimore in terms of what it is that they need to be doing. And then we plan on also meeting with some of the individuals here who will be willing to come up and share their information with us so that we can speak to them.
Okay, so about 6 or 7 months ago, I went to some sort of like the Stephanie Ross, Blake, police chief, several other figures were there, and they said, I can almost say verbatim, exactly what you just said. We're going to fix the problem, we're going to find the problem. And what I found is that you guys, although you're just trying to earn a check, that shit is not going to be able to help us in the long run, my son, his son, and her daughter, and stuff like that. So, with all due respect, I'm just going to push you to the side real quick. What you have to do is, you talk to your people
You talk to your brothers and sisters, you talk to your cousins, you talk to your sisters, you talk to the youth in your community. You look around, 5% of the people in here are under 30. That's a beautiful thing that the older crowd is here to support, but when we're gone, these guys don't know anything about anything, and all they hear is this bullshit spewed from up here. We're working on it. You know what I mean? And that's going to kill them. That's going to kill them, man. And that's honest. So, force the NAACP to act. Don't just let them parade up and down the fucking street and all that stuff. That's not going to fix it. We have to fix it. You have to talk. You have to fight. Since the Martin Luther King Civil Rights Movement, we've declined. We hit a point of satisfaction, and then we stopped fighting as fiercely as hard because the problem wasn't as evident in front of our faces as it was. But now it's resurfacing. You're dying on camera. These cameras, these body cameras.
Sir, you're approaching 3 minutes. Could you please summarize?
6 years ago, in public to be accessible. Sir, now that they are, you're back to seeing it.
Sir, I would respectfully ask you to be respectful of everyone else here.
This guy that's being paid by the people who are killing you to fix your issue. It's not going to happen. The problem is finance. The black community does not own the black community. It's owned by the Koreans, the whites, the Jews. Until we own something, they won't fix it. It's not violence that we're here for. It's voices. We need the people. We need the money. It's not it. We have to help ourselves. Help yourself. Help yourself.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, you have the floor this time. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, please.
Welcome to Baltimore City. I call the city that breathes. The city that has killed me, and the city that has divided. I'm glad that you're here. I don't know the statistics in Baltimore as far as solving crimes, as far as murder cases. But when you've been involved in 2, and neither one of those have been solved, and when you see one right before your eyes, and I see the police work that they were doing, I'm a cop. I'm not a cop. I see you're a cop. I would not have left my house without all of my friends from work. You come back and you get it 2 weeks later. By 2 weeks later, if it's anything in there, I could have arrested it and gone through the back door and cleaned it. So what kind of police work are they doing? And how many cases are they solving? When I say we are divided, if something happens in the African American community, that case is never solved. And the excuse is, oh, y'all, people in the neighborhood won't count up there. But if it happens on the other side of the gentleman said, where he lives, the case is legally solved. So based on the code, they should not be getting raises if they cannot solve the cases. They keep getting promoted and promoted and promoted, and you'll see these are cold cases. How many cold cases in Baltimore City has not been solved? Because I got 2, and my life has not been solved. I'm not asking you can't open it up because the case is already open. So what happens in that point for them doing their job? Who backs up their statistics and say this is how many, every few years they'll say this is how many murders we had in that shooting. How many did you solve? How many are still going on? How many are still working on? How can a child of 3 years old be killed and nobody solves it, but a pregnant lady walking in her neighborhood, they need to catch these guys. And then they'll say, well, you're keeping your man on small. Like the great man that I know is Kurt Small. If you're a police officer, you should live in Baltimore City. That should be the rule of thumb. Because in New York, that's why they're so great at it. In New York City, you have to live in New York to be a police officer. They don't matter which borough you live in, you have to live there with the police.
Ma'am, I really appreciate your comments. It is very useful. I do appreciate it very much. Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
Hi, I'm a family member of Taiwan West. How many more victims will there have to be before the federal government takes over Baltimore City Police Department? How many more tax dollars have to go to wrongful death settlements of families of victims of police brutality before the federal government agrees that things are out of control here? How much more bloodshed has to occur before our federal government no longer waits for local jurisdictions to handle the problem with no extra funding and no guidance? How many more tears have to fall from the eyes of widows and mothers and daughters of victims of police brutality before our government put in place to keep order within the state says it's time for police reform? This investigation into the Baltimore Police Department was needed years ago. But now that it is here, if you, as our federal government, believe that a report card will be sufficient in fixing this department, then you are here for no reason. This department needs to be completely dismantled and federally run until the constituents are able to regain control of our neighborhoods. We are currently being occupied, not policed. Or maybe that is the true definition of policing. If that is the case, then we, the constituents, would like to redefine the meaning of policing here in Baltimore City and set a true precedent for the rest of the nation. We have brilliant and diverse people here who are willing to do the work to change Baltimore for better. We ask that we be given the funding and the opportunity with federal guidance to implement our changes and be in control of said changes. If you cannot give us this and you leave here choosing to leave this duty in the hands of an already failing police department, then you are not here for us at all.
Yes, you have the floor.
Peace and blessings. I'm here as a citizen of the United States, and I've been here in Baltimore for 47, 48 years of my life. Just Monday, the 13th, the police officers wanted to come into a 60-unit elderly apartment and searching. They call it witch hunt, or you just hunting for something. How you going to come to an apartment complex with disabled citizens there and try to lock up someone that don't even look like the picture that you present, don't even look like that person? That was Monday. Haven't got no repercussions from that at all. To hear from nobody, not enough apology, one apology. And it's not funny because slavery is deep, too deep for all of us. And it's going to be a curse on the cops that keep abusing us, because I am also a woman of police brutality from 2001 of 911 in Ohio. I know Ohio and Baltimore work together. So this is crap to me to a degree. I can hear you just listening on my phone. I went into a coma 9 to 11 times for police brutality after I had a stillborn taken out of my body. And the police officers, the judge, and the lawyers coincide themselves together just to boycott me and blackball me from Ohio. This was the night of 911 in Twin Towers. My husband had passed away, my son is still living. So why are you going to boycott one woman and say she's going to kill all Americans? I'm a citizen myself, a Native American at that. Why would I want to kill all Americans? I want to kill myself, no suicidal. But I don't want disabled people to constantly be brutalized because police officers feel that they can do that. Personally, in my thought, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a wound equal to that of a wound. If you put your hands on me one more time, I can't say that I'm going to not retaliate. And I'm a woman, 50 years old. Might not know courageous, but I know how to use my intellect. And if you can't admonish a man, like the president said, if you can't listen to a woman, then you're a hypocrite. The men, when they came in that building on Monday, they made sure that they understood that I said, America, Baltimore, the last state knockoff, you have no reason to put this handcuffs on this person here that just came out there partying.
Ma'am, you're approaching 3 minutes. Please summarize.
I want you to approach me for more than 30 minutes, not just 3 minutes. I want you, the city hall, the 4 men that I was fighting down at 6 St. Paul Street that was trying to lock me up just because my money got stuck in Garden Station, fighting me over my money. And I'm still bruised from it. 11 to 9 comas. Who you think got me here? I didn't wake up in a hospital. I woke up when God told me to wake up.
Ma'am, would you be willing to speak with us after?
I most certainly do.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, over here. You have the floor.
My name is Ronnie Ricks, and two things. One, was the medical team in Baltimore. I think it needs something to be done for review highly rated reports and crime reports. And two is that your sergeants and lieutenants should be on your what you call your internal affairs or your professional stand-up units.
Right.
As opposed to an independent outside, whether it's in the force or not. Now, my problem is on the 27th of February, I had a diabetic. I went into diabetic when I was going on the subway. And the MTA police thought I was drunk or high, as opposed to going to the medical ground. And he makes me and lock me up. And right now today, we trying to get a copy of the video. But somehow the video is lost. And the medic that did the diabetic report that my sugar was actually 42 and treated me on the scene. The supervisor for the headquarters of the fire department, Mr. Graham Brule, said he might have wrote me down as a John Doe. But it was like, okay, John Doe, ain't you gonna penalize, not penalize, but sanction this officer, this medic for not writing this report or you know? And I'm asking you to look at these two matters and have something done about them also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, you have the floor.
Sir, I'd like to say this first of all. There's only two things you can do with power. You can use it to help you, or you can abuse it. You can use it to help you, or you can abuse it. Like now, it's the Baltimore Police Department doing. I was pulled over, I was accosted by the police down there on Westwood Avenue one day. And bottom line, they was detectives. They basically stripped me almost naked in front of all these people. And I called internal affairs. I'm not going to try and fight these people and all that, because I still will come out abusing them. That's all they're going to do is file charges against me. So I'm going to call internal affairs. First person I answered the phone, I said, oh man, they asked me who's the problem. I explained it to her. She told me, well, what's your zip code? I told her. She said, what was you doing down there? I said, I thought this was America. And first of all, you sound like a secretary. Why don't you put me on with somebody that I need to speak to? Who was you to be covering up the situation before you even know what's going on? Outside of that, man, if y'all not going to indict these officers, killing them, if they cost us, and we already know that y'all ain't going to indict them, and they basically got probable cause to kill them, then why should I stand there and let them kill them? I might as well go ahead and do what I got to do, and we can take it from that. Bring the tape with you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, you have the floor.
Peace and blessings, family. I just want to say that I love y'all. Coming out, thank y'all. This shows me that everybody that's here is here out of love for humanity. You know? And I don't expect no justice to come from the injustice part. You know? I don't. So don't nobody need to go to the state to look for justice. Because as black people in this country, we've been having no justice for over 600 years. 500 years, we've been having no justice. So why we think we all of a sudden going to get some justice now? All of a sudden, America's going to change their mind and help us down for 500 years? They're not going to listen until we stand up and start popping the cops like they're popping them. They're not going to listen. We take dollars out of their pocket and start popping. That's it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I've never been a person who has been abused by police, but I'm here today because I have two wonderful sons, and I have to teach them how to act while being black. And it's a shame that we not stand up for what they put on the paper, to honor what they put on the paper in regards to African American and all people. It's been 150 years and we are still in the same degraded state that we left from slavery. It's an economic situation where, as the young man said, we are not respected because we don't have the collective dollars that we need to put together
in order to gain the respect. We have politicians that we keep electing that do not represent us. They are not a part of this community. They look like us. They don't think like us. They don't talk like us. They don't live where we live. They don't bleed like we bleed. And you are here today to collect data. How much more data do you have to collect if you look across America? What is happening in every county, in every state throughout this nation? That you represent the justice system. Why didn't you send a black man who looked like us, who feels like us? But you came. What do you know about this city? You're collecting data. But if you go to Pikesville, you don't have a community in Pikesville where you have a majority of African Americans being cattled and chastised by people who don't even look like us. You wouldn't go to Pikesville and have a predominantly African American police force, but you have it in Baltimore City where you have a predominant European police force policing so many African Americans. Something's wrong with that. You need to get people who are trained, who are sensitive to where we came from. And until that changes, until your political changes, until your justice systems change, we're not going to do any good.
Okay. Ma'am, I do appreciate the comments very much.
I shouldn't have to teach my child how to act, to counteract how you don't know how to act.
Ma'am, I thank you very much for your comments. They're very helpful. Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. My issue is that while we're speaking about Baltimore City, what's happening with the African American males is throughout Maryland. We need to look at the misidentification, and we need to look at the falsely accused. And right now, as a parent of 3 African American males, I'm dealing with a major crisis, and I do not believe that this forum is the appropriate forum. So I'm asking, how do I get to talk to one of you without being in this type of forum so that I can talk about my concerns?
Yes, please. But you have more time, but please meet with us after the meeting. I'll get your information.
Thank you. So, but my issue is that if someone says you did it, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. Right. And unfortunately, too many Baltimore County, we need to look at that. Not just Baltimore City. They're overly charged. There are no bails. Parents are really suffering because they're trying, or loved ones are suffering because they're trying to, one, fight a high bail for a charge of folks, especially black males who have no criminal records, and they're sitting for a long periods of time until they make plea deals, which for me is coercion. And I believe that there has to be an administrative board in between, because most parents don't know. I have to do this between the arrest and the trial. Right. And we don't have money for private investigators. We don't have money to get the evidence that the prosecutor is going to get. The grand jury process has to be changed. You know, to be able for a prosecutor to go in with their persuasive whatever and say that without a defense attorney there, the grand jury process has to be changed. And we've seen it time and time again. Unfortunately, I feel like as a mother of 3 African American males that we're under siege. We're under siege. And how do we, the juvenile justice system, how do we say to these African American males, once you're arrested one time for a crime that probably, or if it was a crime, but something that they make a crime, how do we tell you that I need you to trust the justice system? How do we get you to be rehabilitated and be able to really function in society and trust the system that we say we're supposed to trust?
Ma'am, you are approaching 3 minutes, but
so
clearly
again,
we're going to have more time to
I want to
speak.
meet with someone after this because I have a personal case and I do not believe that this is the appropriate forum.
Yeah, please.
And the grand jury process must be changed.
Okay.
It must be changed.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening. I know it's been rough in here this evening. I have to tell you, we're so disappointed because there's not one policeman in here. Is there a representative from the police department here?
We specifically wanted to hear from you without anybody feeling intimidated.
Okay, so it's not like they didn't want to
Yeah,
come.
no, not
And
at
the
all.
mayor too?
We wanted to meet directly with you and not have anybody feel intimidated.
Thank you for clearing up because we're all going to go away from here leaving. She didn't come because she didn't want to be here.
No.
So we appreciate you clearing that up. Yes. I have another question for you. I have a number of questions. I'm going to try to get through this as soon as I possibly can. When you gave a report in Ferguson, you noted that the corruption was beyond. It was not only the police department, it was also city administrators. But yet nobody was fired. People resigned, but nobody was fired. But there your report noted that local lawyers referred to the Ferguson system as a poor people's tax, putting black people in jail for anything that they could imagine. And then when they couldn't pay the money, they would put more money on them. And it was this vicious cycle. And so the lawyers there in Ferguson would not take these cases. Sir, we have the same thing going on here. A year or so ago, we had speed cameras that our mayor had put up all over the city, not in just school districts, but all over town, but only in the black sections of town. From what we've read, there was $27 million taken in revenue. Finally, the Baltimore Sun did a report and found out that over two-thirds or a number of those cameras were broken. So here they were, they knew those cameras were broken, and they were still charging us money, like we have it to give away like that. We don't. The next thing is, your report noted, and we noted that nobody went to jail for the Ferguson report. And we've heard all of the pessimism, and I'm sure, sir, you hear it everywhere you go. But in Baltimore, we're just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Sir, I appreciate very much your comments.
All
And I
right.
would like you to meet me after
Well,
we
I
get
am
your
going to
information.
come, but I want to thank you all because I was the one that called you all on Monday and made you aware that this building that they had set aside for us only seated 80 people. And I wanted to thank Ms. Jordan at the Department of Justice and everyone there that took our notes and took our emails, got back to us. We thank you so much, and thank you for coming. And I'll talk to y'all right after
Thank
this
you
is
very
over.
much. I appreciate that, sir. Yes, sir, you have the floor.
I only have a couple of things to say. I've had a terrible time pursuing my happiness. Isn't that a part of the Constitution? Isn't that in the Constitution? Isn't that our right to pursue happiness? Also, the young lady, I had to follow behind her when she asked you, when will the federal government take over the city or at least the police department? Is there some criteria that we can all hear from you tonight?
Specifically on?
Criteria to take over the police department, make it federal?
We would be happy to go over that detail with you after the meeting if you'd like. I just don't want to take all that time to do that while other people are trying to get their words in before they may try to get home because it's a work night.
Sure. Speaking of going home, do you mind sending someone from the board with all your business cards? Because I'd like to leave.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right, which one?
Either any of us. Or you can even hit up my companions here in the back on this table back
Have
here.
your business card?
Yes. Well, you'll have the business card to our business, and she can give it to you right back here.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You have the floor.
Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, all right. So I know y'all supposed to be getting suggestions from community members, but I actually have a question, and hopefully you might be able to answer it. So the city of Baltimore has been dealing with the issue of police violence for quite some time, like a lot of other urban cities. And in places like Ferguson, the DOJ had to force the police departments to change. And so if I'm understanding this correctly, the suggestions that you all will be giving the police department aren't mandatory, correct?
What we're giving them is a collaborative effort, and what we are giving to them are recommended findings.
Right.
We're saying, here's what we found, and here's what we are recommending you do,
Right.
and here are some implementation steps that we think will help you get there.
Right.
And then we will be coming back to see how they're doing on those implementation steps.
Okay. And then, so I guess, why would community members think that the city of Baltimore would be willing to change, or what I guess, Yeah, what would make them think that the city would be ready to change if that hasn't happened over the course of the
Well,
past?
part of what, actually, ma'am, that is an excellent question. What's happening is this process has already been used in other major cities, and it has been successful. Even members of the community are saying that there's been huge progress, which is why there are cities like Baltimore that are saying, hey, if there are things that have been done someplace else that have proven successful to help us improve our relationships and do a better job, they're willing to do that. So we're hearing everything you're saying tonight, but we're here because people are willing to move forward and try to make those changes. As imperfect as that process may be, or as difficult as it may be, there's a willingness to do that, and that's why we're here.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet, absolutely. Thank you for the question. Yes, sir, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. My name is Louis Hobson. I currently chair the board of the Vanguard Justice Society, which is a black police officer organization here in Baltimore. I'm a 35-year member of the agency. I've also sued the Baltimore City Police Department numerous occasions and times. The last lawsuit cost the city $5 million to get to pay us. And it cost the city close to $10 million to defend. I have a ton of documentation and evidence. And it's a wonder why I've not spoken to you. You've not even been pointing in my direction. There's enough evidence out here that really there's no need to even collect the evidence. We've done this 1,000 times in the city of Baltimore. And the people are suffering. Yeah, they really are suffering. I'm inside that agency. I've seen it over and over again. I've filed numerous complaints. I've won every complaint that I've filed. Now, you shouldn't have to collect the documentation and evidence for one simple reason. In the settlement of my lawsuit, federal court has determined that the Baltimore City Police Department was to keep and maintain documentation and evidence of all civil rights violations, discrimination, brutality, and so on and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is, I understand this process more than just about anybody in this room. I spent 34 years investigating this agency. There's probably not a report that I haven't written or sponsored during the course of this. Excuse me.
AT&T or Verizon? Go ahead.
I was juvenile booking.
It's okay.
That's another issue, is our juveniles here in the city of Baltimore. We're arresting juveniles at an ungodly rate.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I think that's such an issue is because once you're arrested, you put a black mark on their record. And it stops them from future employment. It stops them from...
Since y'all have so much faith in them, and y'all give us y'all police officers y'all have that really protect y'all and look out for y'all and your kids and your family. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. I think I've seen you
because late that there, you don't have your part. I'm looking for the
Excuse me,
you're in my shot.
Oh, the farm. Oh, okay. We'll get that for you. You want to do that? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm a former police officer here, work for the Department of Corrections, served on Baltimore City Grand Jury. And what I need to say to everyone here is to hold on to your children. You're going to have to teach them what the young lady said a few minutes ago. You're going to have to teach them the law. You're going to have to teach them strategies, where they go, what they do, and who they encounter. And they must know that they're being watched. We are all under surveillance. They are being watched. The police department knows exactly what you do on a daily. My suggestion is to hold on to your children. Teach them yourselves. If you have, I'm a grandmother. Fortunately, my son was educated here in Baltimore City, educated at Frostburg and Norfolk State University. He is no longer a citizen here in this city. He lives elsewhere. Why? The quality of life. And I think that we all need to consider the quality of life in this city. It has gone to the dogs. And it's time for us as citizens, we have rights, We had television stations, they were all here. Where are they now? They're gone. They have to take the propaganda back to the station and bring it on the 11 o'clock news. I say, hold on to your children and you teach them. You protect them. You guide them. We can't depend on the current system that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one other individual. Yes, sir.
I just have to say that the 13th Amendment says,
I'm sorry?
The 13th Amendment of the Constitution says, neither slavery nor servitude shall exist in this country, except if a person is duly convicted of a crime. And what's a better way to keep someone in slavery than to duly convicted of a crime? I was recently arrested for a crime that I didn't do, but when I went in front of the magistrate and I denied the charges, she said, whatever the police put on that report, they take that as being fact. That is not a system. That is a kangaroo court or whatever you want to put it. But we do not have what we call justice for poor people in this country. I also I was downtown and I got robbed. And I went to the police and I flagged them down and I told them that I just got robbed. He told me I had to go to 500 North Calvary Street to file a complaint. Now, a week later, I'm in Mount Vernon area, which is an city. A white person's purse got snatched. It was 7 police cars out there looking for the perpetrator. What difference? My money is just as important to me as their money is to them. So why should I be treated any different? And I'm paying the same taxes that they're paying.
Thanks. Let's do this. I'll take this last question at the microphone, but then I would ask my team to just come up here to the front. We've made commitments that we'd be willing to meet with people after the meeting. I want to make sure that we give them time to do that tonight. So we'll take this last question, and then we'll have the groups meet out there. Go ahead.
My name is Dwayne Davis. I got an open case with the Department of Justice. I filed a complaint with the Department of Justice pertaining to the prison industry and accessing the grand jury. My case number is 2911937. I spoke to Ms. Coleman about this, Ronald Davis about this, and Capelhoff about this. I got a file at least a foot deep. I'm an independent filmmaker and a documentarian. I was locked up February the 7th, 2011 for putting a toilet in front of the Towson courthouse. The toilet wasn't nothing but a prop for the movie, and it shows you how public accommodations, how you treat blacks, Hispanics, and poor whites. I was locked up, my truck was taken, my computer was taken, 7 years worth of movies was taken, and I won my case, and the court ordered my material to be returned. My material has not been returned till this day. In October of 2010, 12 Baltimore City police officers came in my house without a search warrant, threatening me, trying to intimidate me because I was making a movie about this government here in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, under Governor O'Malley's administration. Doc Cheatham will tell you, I gave Doc Cheatham 53 subpoenas where I had subpoenaed these individuals to appear in court, put them in Doc Cheatham's hand because y'all was doing this investigation. These were names of judges, lawyers, police officials, and your elected officials that y'all keep sending back to Annapolis. What I did was stood up, and I'm tired of standing up. This here to me is a dog and pony show. Personally, that's all it is, because all of the material that you're gathering, Alan Locks had a report from me, and Alan Locks destroyed that information, and I sent copies of that email to Ms. Coleman. All right? Everything that I'm telling you can be found in your database already. I ain't telling you nothing that you don't already know. I ain't hiding nothing, and I don't run from nobody. Y'all need to do your job or stop bullshitting us.
Thank you. Okay, we do have one other individual that wants to speak. I'll give you 2 minutes, but please, would my team start coming to the front here?
please start coming to the front so we can meet immediately with these individuals. Come on. Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening. My name is Patrick Gutierrez. I'm a 15-year resident of Baltimore, and I'm a community activist in the 3rd District. I would like to ask a favor of each of you on the panel tonight. When you go home, as you've given everybody here 2 minutes to talk, I want you to take 2 minutes, close your eyes, and think about what America has meant to you, how it has treated you, how it has protected you, how it has allowed you to prosper, to realize your constitutional rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then I want you to open your eyes, and I want you to think about all the stories you heard here tonight. And I want you to ask yourself, what did they do to deserve this? I have 2 young daughters, and my wife and I want the same things for them that everybody in here wants for their kids. An opportunity to pursue the American dream. But for too many Americans here tonight, there's no American dream, it's an American nightmare. And it doesn't have to be this way. There are city elections coming in 12 months. If we want actual change, then we need to elect leaders who are going to make that change. Not talk about the change, make the change. If you want to organize a march, march everybody down to the voting booth. If you want to protest, put down the bullhorn and pick up the loudest voice you possibly have, and that's your right to vote. How quickly do you think police brutality would end if the people who spoke here tonight were the ones making the rules? If they were the ones in charge, if they were the mayor, if they were the city council. Think about that in 12 months.
Sir, you're at the limit. Could you please just summarize for us?
I'll summarize by saying this. I'm 42 years old, and if I've learned one thing, I've learned this. The best way to bring about change is to get the power to make it. Now get out and vote. Thank you.
Great. Did you want to make any comment? Just if we could, we made a lot of commitments to meet with people. Thank you, sir. If you would come down here, please, we'd be happy to meet with you. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Rob?
And I'd also just, on behalf of the Department of Justice, I'd like to thank everyone for sharing your personal stories and insights.